Welcome to today's episode of Dope Conversations. This is one that I was super excited for. I got my man Jay Bradley with us today from Roof Nuts. Jay, the topic today is ambitiously lazy, wildly effective. How Jay Bradley's breaking rules to build roofers. So, Jay, welcome to Dope Conversations. Like I said, dude, super excited to have you today. Jay is one of the guests that I think has as much, if not more, energy than I do. So this one today is going to be a banger.
Man, I appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here, man. I think you and I have been watching each other for a long time, and really the first time you and I've actually been able to have a dope conversation together. So I'm excited about it.
First time for everything, my man. So
Right.
today on Dope Conversations, we're chopping it up with a guy who flips the script on what it means to build a roofing brand with attitude, with intention, and of course, a little bit of chaos. Jay Bradley's the founder of Roof Nuts, creator of Roof Camp, and a straight up force in the roofing space. From swinging hammers before he could legally drive to helping contractors own their D2D game, Jay's built something way bigger than business. He's building a movement. He calls himself ambitiously lazy, says the quiet part out loud, and has one mistake: make roofing fun again while building people who are hungry, coachable, and dangerous in the field. So if you're looking for a good time, you already know who to call. Jay, welcome to the show. I want to kick it off with this question. So you call yourself ambitiously lazy. Break that down for us. Like, how does that mindset actually help you get shit done?
I think a lot of it has to do with intentional understanding yourself, right? So for me personally, I've just been ambitiously lazy. I've been lazy my whole life, but then there's always that other side of me that's ambitious. So it's the two evils that live in my body. And a lot of times that evil portion of me, I call him the idiot, right? And I have to wake up every day and trick the idiot. And so, when I very first wake up on the day, it's so funny in the roofing industry. People talk about getting out of the truck. Man, just get out of the truck. Just get out of the truck. Bro, I don't have to worry about getting in the truck. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to wake up, have a couple cups of coffee. I got to get moving. Like, that's just, I was never somebody that I still go to the gym. I try to do what I can, you know what I mean? But it's always tricking the idiot no matter what I have to do. And so to me, ambitiously lazy is just those two forces fighting against each other. I want everything out of life. I want to go buy the jet. I want to go do the things that I want to do. But in the same time, I understand myself and how I have to do things. So I do little stuff like the 2 minute rule, right? Like if I don't want to do something, if I'm not trying to do something, I'll be like, hey, bro, just go do it for 2 minutes. Like get in the office and write emails. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then I get in the office, I start writing emails. Next thing you know, I've been there for 8.5 hours and I just hustled all day. So just little stuff like that.
So Jay, you said like you grew up fat, dyslexic, lazy, dumb kid, and now you're literally running a movement. For anyone that doesn't follow Jay, all you got to do is get out his social once, and the stuff will be following you around all the time. Like, how did you take that internal self-talk and flip that script internally?
Yeah, I think it was about getting in the right rooms. For me, I was like you said, the fat dyslexic kid. Back then in the '80s, they used to make you read no matter whether you were dyslexic or not. You had to read in front of the class.
Oh,
So every time I had to read, they thought they were going to do better by making me read, and really at the end of the day, they were just killing my self-esteem. And I think in my early years, before getting to college, golf really helped me. Golf was a big way for me to get out and prove to myself that I could do certain things. And so I think golf really helped me out a lot. And then I learned my mom and my dad are both just incredible people. They both really hated their jobs. Yeah, they were both very good. They climbed the corporate ladder, but they still didn't like to have somebody else dictating what they were doing.
sure.
And so I grew up with two folks that were overly ambitious that were in the 9 to 5 rat race that couldn't get out of it, right? Because everybody, all of them, at least the generation that I was in, my parents were always the 40-40-40 plan, right? You go to work for 40 hours a week for 40 years of your life to hopefully survive off 40% of the income you couldn't survive off of to begin with. And so I didn't want to do that. And so I was either going to put up or shut up. It was either one way or the other. And so when I went to college, I went there with no money and I had to figure out ways to get money. And I was always been kind of a hustler on the side anyway. You know what I mean? I think we all have that little bit of hustle on the side.
Good.
And, back in the day, it was like trying to figure out how to get $1 so I could get the Three Musketeers. And now it's like, how do I get, $20 million so I can get that jet plane? You know what I'm saying? So,
So talking about flipping the script, you said Roof Nuts has flipped the script on how contractors build trust. What rules did you break intentionally in looking at the way that coaching and training is done for whether it's D2D sales, commercial sales, like the stuff that you specialize in?
yeah, for me, I came from the restaurant industry. And so I had a bar, restaurant, was fairly successful in that world. And so seeing the cradle to grave guys, the folks that were knocking the door and going all the way to building the deal, I saw as very inefficient. So when I got in the market, what I started doing was breaking it up. Hey man, you're really good at knocking doors. You stay knocking doors. And this was out of necessity, I think, more than anything else. I'd love to say that I was a freaking genius, Dave. Like it's just I was the fat guy that got in the roof and that couldn't get on a roof, and I had to start breaking things up around me because they call me downspout daddy because I couldn't get on a roof, right?
Yeah.
So I had to carry, an inspector with me. I had to carry people with me, and
Yeah.
as I started surrounding myself with people, I started realizing that if we broke this up, we could really grow a company. I mean, we just like what you're doing, right? It's the old deal where you wear many hats. Well, think about what a cradle to grave roofing contractor has to do. They have to have the charisma at the door. They have to know the knowledge on the roof. They have to be able to write a proper contract and put shit in the CRM, which is probably the biggest weakness of a really good salesperson. You and I are probably both like horrible with CRMs, right? Our integrators around us hate us. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's like all of these things, you start figuring out, now I got to collect checks, now I got to do these things. So a really skilled salesperson that's cradle to grave in it right now, that's selling $2 million, is probably just an unbelievable person in general, or they have such a big need or have to do it that it's one way or the other. So for me, I just started chopping it up, and that's what we do for companies now. It's like we go in, we chop up the whole thing, and usually we 3x them within 18 months, and we've seen that over and over and over again, and been super blessed with really good owners as well.
What's some of the biggest comparisons you've seen from some of your success in the hospitality space that carried over to the roofing industry?
Yeah, so I think it's the non-negotiables. Like I walk into companies a lot of times and there's no set non-negotiables. And I talked to Reggie Brock a lot. I don't know if you know Reggie. Reggie's like kind of my dude, right? And like he and I have a lot of conversations and he helps me with Roof Camp. He and I would say we co-created. He doesn't want the credit, but really we've done it together. And so I talked to Reggie a lot, and he works on culture of companies. And we started talking about like what exactly it looked like with us at Cowbells. Our roofing industry or our bar was very, very successful in North Mississippi. And we started looking back at that and going, what made it really successful? And it was just the non-negotiables. If you sat at our bar, you had to talk to somebody in 15 seconds. If the bartender was out back smoking a cigarette, the servers knew that they had to cover the bar and talk to them in 15 seconds. That was a non-negotiable. We were customer first, customer oriented. We always put a bev nap down. All of that stuff seems small, but those are the big things at the end of the day for the customer. And so going into a company and setting those non-negotiables for them and really starting to put structure into place, that's probably one of the biggest things is that they usually by the time they call me, they've gotten their success to a point to where they have gotten it, but they haven't started structuring it yet. I mean, it's the same thing with roof nuts. It's probably the same thing with dope. Like eventually you get to a point where you got to have structure. You got to put people around you that integrators. You got to, do things like that. So that's probably the biggest thing is really putting structure in for them.
If you had to make a list of three non-negotiables for any roofing company that hits that glass ceiling, right? They're making some money, they're buying the trucks, they're taking the vacations with their family, they're hiring integrators, but like they haven't quite like gotten through there. What's some advice, or like if you could rattle off a couple like non-negotiables to give inspiration to a company listening to this that doesn't have any?
Yeah, I think because I work on growth, my number one is recruit every day. Wake up to recruit,
Amen.
right? That's just it. There's like people will focus on the craziest thing because they think a new CRM is going to grow their business. They think a new, this new, yeah, they think Roof Nuts is going to grow their business. Roof
Some
Nuts is
marketing
just
thing, some magic wand that everyone else is using. Like, that ain't it usually.
right. Absolutely. The one thing that is the common denominator from a $2 million company to a $20 million company is the $2 million company has two sales reps and the $20 million company has 22 sales reps. That's just all there is to it. There is no different. The more mouths that are talking about your business, the more monies that you make.
I had a mentor tell me once, just Dave, never stop hiring. And that doesn't
Yeah.
mean like there's a new person starting in your business every week. Jay, I remember the days back to my cleaning company where I was like, oh my God, we have to hire someone for 70K a year. Where the fuck am I going to get 70 grand? And then I realized, like, hold on. You don't actually have to give someone their full salary on the day that they start. The business is
Right.
growing. You can make money. You can cover this. And again, it's the things they don't teach us in the books and the podcasts of where we get scared of growth or where it goes. But it's like, right now at Dope, we're celebrating. We just onboarded our 100th employee. And it's insane. I mean, outside of the fact that my hairline looks like this for a reason, is like to see that growth and understand that like we always have job postings up. Our HR person always is interviewing because we're building a roster. Whether it's we have a good quarter, we onboard some new clients, we know we have to hire some people, whether it's we have a sales initiative, it's like anyone knows in hiring, it's like you put a job posting up and hire the person tomorrow. If
Yeah.
they have a position, it's going to take 2 weeks for them to leave. If you have the right onboarding in place, it's going to take 2 to 4 weeks to onboard someone into your company, into your processes, into your culture, into everything that goes on. And it's just that never stop hiring, always be recruiting. Jay, I couldn't agree with it more. So
Yeah.
you've said before, I've seen it online, I've heard people say it. Why do you think that you're the best at door-to-door sales, and why are most people doing it wrong?
I honestly think tonality, right? A lot of it has to do with tonality and understanding that it's not the words that you are saying, it is how you say those words that is so important. It's funny that Jeremy Minor has gotten so big here these last couple of years because I've been trying to teach that. I didn't know how to package it, right?
Yeah.
I've been talking to people several years about tonality, but I never really understood what I was saying. Because when I go to a customer's house, there's a difference between saying, hey, we're in the area and we're doing some free roof inspections and we're having a good time versus going, hey, man, listen, some folks are qualifying, some aren't. I'm not sure whether you qualify or not. Just that tonality and using the takeaways and using the things and the sales techniques. I was in network marketing for a little while with a company called World Ventures.
Oh, yeah.
And candidly, big shout out to everybody that was ever a trainer for World Ventures because I dove deep into it and I got hard into it. And it was just sales training from beginning to end. It was just hardcore sales training. And that really, to me, changed my perspective on life because I had gotten to the point where I opened the bar at 27 and we were killing it, right? 27 or 10,000 square foot band venue, 2,700 kids every weekend, from the college. We were killing it. But I think in life you hit certain levels, and then it's like I said earlier, you don't know what you don't know. You got to go learn from somebody else and get in the right rooms. I was able to get in the right rooms with World Ventures, get to a certain level, and now with Coach Burt, I got to in the right rooms to the next level, and you just kind of keep going that way. And coaches and mentors have always been special to me in my world. My thing is when I get in a company, my first thing that I try to do with the owner is get them freedom. How do I get you free? Because you're truly the only one that really wants to grow the business. Nobody's going to care about the business like you care about the business. Like that's just all there is to it. So how do we get you free? And I don't mean free so you can fly to Tahiti. I mean free so that way you can stand back and look from a 10,000 square foot or a 10,000 foot view and go, what's wrong? What's right? What can I change? How can I fix it? All those good things. And so that's my number one. So I have this thing that's called a freedom shot clock. And so ultimately, they just put down all of the things that runs the business. I mean, there might be 60 things they had to write down, Dave, but it's like, okay, now you write down everything. Now, what you love to do is number one, and what you hate the most is number 60. And we're gonna put them down. And then slowly but surely, we're gonna start knocking out your freedom shot clock. And I don't mind you doing the top 5 things, right? Maybe if it's not too crazy, but like whatever it is, I want to get you to the point to where you're just focused on not operations as much as actual growth. So that's just something little we do.
Patrick Carr from Blue Collar Media Group.
Yeah, I met him down at Roof Processing Conference a couple years ago.
So Patrick's a great guy. We had him on the show previously, and we were talking about an exercise that I've done along my career that people have probably heard of. But you take on the piece of paper and you draw a T or like a cross, and you go, what I'm good at, what I like doing, what I'm not good at, what I don't like doing. And some things, it's these simple things in life that are like that bell ringer, that aha
Yeah,
moment, because you were talking about like mentors and coaches. And I know depending on people's careers or their journeys, some of us had mentors and coaches along the way. Some of us were not as mentorable or coachable along the way, and we had to get out of our
that's,
own way first to be able to get there. But
that's fair.
one thing I always take from that, Jay, is like stealing like an artist, being able to look at something like an artist. When you look like an artist in front of a blank canvas or whatever, they're getting inspired by something. They're going out. It's a relationship. It's some other art that they saw. It's something they went through in their life that inspires them to create. And so when I say steal like an artist, it's looking at the people that are in the position that you want to be in and be inspired by that to create your version. The beautiful thing about going to get a tax ID, starting your business, and being a big deal to everyone that you went to high school with is like you actually get to make this shit up as you go. But in making it up as you go, one word that I don't believe in is competition. I think that anyone else that does what you do is simply an opportunity to learn something from. And if you can change that, I talk a lot about like internal talk, the way you talk to yourself, the way you talk to your team. And it's like, if you just look at that word track of, I see someone doing something that I want to do, how can I be inspired of that? So, Jay, like you talk a lot about mentors, about coaches. What's something in your life that you had no clue about that you saw and made a version of your own?
Yeah, so the color test, the one of the first things I do at every company is do this thing called the life test that we kind of created from things that we learned in World Ventures. And so the test in World Ventures took a long time. It's kind of like a disc assessment, right? It takes a long time, but I don't have that much time to capture people. So we created, actually started in 2015, we created this thing called life test, and we've been perfecting it since then. But literally, I can walk into an office, and this is any office. I don't just work with roofers. I do work with many other entrepreneurs, but I can walk in their office, and in 15 minutes, I can tell what everybody's motivation is for the most part. I rate them off four different colors. It's blue, green, yellow, and red. And the green people are the analytical, the yellow people are the lovers, the blue people are the entertainers, and the red people are the motivators. And they all are motivated by different things. And usually by that, I can start helping people because we're in the people business. Like everybody's like, oh man, we're slinging shingles, sure. But if you go to a customer and you're like, would you like Owens Corning or GAF? It's like, they have no idea, right? But it's like, did you enjoy your experience with Bob? What did you like about Bob? Well, it's because Bob carried our same beliefs, our same understandings, our same non-negotiables, all of those things. And so we're in the people business at the end of the day. And I think that is hard for some of the owners because they go from being hardcore salesperson to now they got to manage people. And that's a tough transition. But the life test to me has changed everything. Whenever I do it, like I'll do it at Roof Camp in Louisville next week. And it's just amazing when people's eyes go, wow, you know what I mean? Like, wow, like this
The
makes so much
sold
sense.
out roof camp in Louisville.
Yeah. How about that? You know what? It's so funny. And you test yourself, right? Like just like, I got on, it's just like the jet thing. You just got off your jet flight. I had mine. I couldn't just pay for mine outright. So I had to sell some coaching to do it. And, I challenged myself. I rented the plane and I said, now I got to go sell the coaching. I sold the coaching. And because I sold the coaching, now those companies are trending to 3X this year. And I'm so excited for them. But also, I got to live what was the challenge that I put in myself. I think if you don't give yourself challenges, then maybe you're not moving forward.
You're
But
going
like,
to
I don't
challenge
understand
you if
people
you're
that
not
don't
going to
challenge
challenge.
themselves. Yeah, absolutely. And so for me, having those challenges and doing that type stuff is really important. So it's just having challenges and moving forward. And the same thing with Roof Camp is like, man, I want to do this beautiful thing, but I don't necessarily want people to have to pay for tickets. I want to make it free. I want the sponsors to be the ones that help me carry the cost on it. And we make it available for everybody. Because when you go to the conferences, and there's nothing wrong with this, but they're geared to the owner, really, at the end of the day, like for the most part, right? I want roof camp to be geared for either the guy that started last week that still got belief issues in the deal, or the guy that's been in for 10 years that just needs to hear from somebody else that they're having problems too and how they overcame it. Right. That's what roof camp is built for. And so for me, if I can keep it to the point, we got VIP tickets, they get to go have dinner with us. That's 129. They get to spend time with me, and I do a one-on-one with them. And so we have little ways of doing that, but we're going to buy their dinner. So it's not like we're making a ton of money off of them. But I want to do one a quarter, and then ultimately next year, hopefully do 8 next year, and I'll have ambassadors that will just run roof camps in cities all across the nation. And maybe it's only 20 or 30 people in a room, but it's still the same feel of roof camp where it's just communal, really is what I want out of it. So
Jay, you talk a lot about like marketing, movement, and messaging. And when you work with companies, your signs, your mailers, the branding, the influence you have on that, like the shit stands out.
mm,
What's your approach to making marketing that actually gets attention around the sales process?
yeah, I think you got to package it. So a lot of people are, hey, free roof inspection, hey, this, hey, that, right? Whatever it may be, but they're not packaging their story. They're not packaging what makes them different. They're differentiator, right? So for me, I could go, if somebody asked me in an elevator, hey man, what do you do for companies? It's like, well, I'm a coach for roofing companies. How many damn coaches are there for roofing companies? Right. So if somebody asks me, hey man, what do you do? Hey man, I take all of the losses that I had in my life from being ambitiously lazy, and I go help other people understand what their weaknesses are and move their ball forward for them. And hopefully, while we do that, we also grow their businesses. Like that's what I do. I help people get through their demons to get to the point to where they can help other people. Because I don't have kids, Dave. So for me, it's like if I can go help this person that's got a $2 million company get to $8 million, not only am I helping that single owner, but along the way, we've got to hire 16 sales reps or so, right? That are going to help their families. And then those sales reps are also going to go help homeowners. So if I can go help one company 3x or 4x, I'm not only helping one layer of the owner, but I'm helping their management team. I'm helping their, all the way through it. And I want to leave a legacy in some way, and that's kind of going to be it. If it's not going to be kids, we're going to make my roofing companies my kids. And you'll ask most of the roofers that I work with, you got to treat them like a team because that way you can hold them accountable. But at the same time, there's a moment of feeling like family too. So
Absolutely. And I think it's really important as I go into this next question is like your brand, your voice, what you put out in the world. You were talking about like, people aren't buying shingles from you.
right.
They're buying the experience. They're buying that trust. They're buying that interaction. I want to frame this next question in a way, Jay, about roof nuts, but also think about it like what advice could you give to business owners around this same topic? So Roof Nuts has got a brand. You guys are making movements. You're helping businesses grow. How do you protect that brand voice as your team reaches new goals and new growth? And it's not only about Jay or the owner, it becomes about the people around in the team.
Yeah, and that's the $100,000 question right there, right? So a
I take
lot of
checks.
yeah, do what?
I
Yeah,
take
man.
checks too.
Nice, nice. So let's start from the beginning. Roof nuts. My haters would say that nobody would ever take roof nuts seriously because of the name. I'm sure you got that with dope too, right? So yeah, and so, but what roof nuts truly is my personality, right? When people are around me, they understand that I take business seriously, but I love life and I love everything about business. I love my companies that I work with. I love the family that we have here at Roof Nuts. That's more of a team because we do hold each other accountable. So, for Roof Nuts, the number one thing is our contractors are first, our hearts are second, and the fun is third. And the fun's always got to be in there, right? We've always got to have a good time. My question when I talk to my people, I don't say, hey man, you're not hitting your KPIs, or hey, the sales aren't going as well as we want to. I go, are you having fun? Are you having fun today? Like, are you having a good time? Is this okay? Like when my door knockers are out in the field for roof nuts and they're having a character building day, because there are no bad days, Dave. There are only character building days, right? When they're out having a character building day, I go, hey, listen, I know it's not fun today, but is it overall fun working with us? Yes. Okay, good. Well, let's just get back to fun. Take a 1 hour break, go have a drink, go, smoke a cigarette, do whatever you got to do to get out of your zone, right? And then go back out with a fresh mind and restart. And the same thing with the businesses. We're starting to see this a lot. So with the PEs companies coming in and buying these companies, and then the owner potentially stepping away, you're losing the heartbeat of the business. And so now we've got to build it off of core beliefs. And so I think that's the big thing, is to understand who you are so you can pass along who you are to those who work with you. And then that trickles down into the system. And the recruiting funnel really starts all that. How do you recruit people? How do you train them? Who's training them? Right? I think who's training them might even be more important than the actual training structure itself. Who are they with for their first 3 weeks? Like, who do they talk to on a regular basis for their first 3 weeks? Is it somebody that's negative, or is it somebody that's like super positive and way outgoing and really fits your brand? I will take any day. I love this. This is Dan. I can't remember his name. Golly, Dan Burry or something. Dan Henry, maybe. Dan Henry taught me this, and he goes, "Hey man," he said, or he teach me this. I wish I he said, "Look," he said, "take all your companies," and he goes, "Have them put the perfect employee on a sheet of paper. Who's the perfect employee?" I've done this a bunch lately. And for you, think about this. Who's the perfect employee? If you write down 5 things who the perfect employee is, right? And you can kind of jot down a little bit, and we'll talk what your answers are. But I would imagine as you're writing those down, right, that out of the 5, how many of those have nothing to do with the skill set of their job and everything to do with their attitude? I mean, that hit home for me, because I could absolutely show people how to do what it is we do. And I can certainly find a way to put people in the right place to be a part of the team, but I can't change a bad personality. I can't change a bad attitude. And so it's really funny when I go to do that, it'll be like, shows up on time. Well, that's your integrity. That's your attitude at the end of the day. Is fun to be around, hardworking, blah, blah, blah. All these things that are more of a descriptive type situation than it is. I've never had an owner write down greatest salesperson in the world, blah, blah, blah. They may say great with customers, which is still attitude. So, oh, that was interesting.
So, how do you spot the right people? You guys go through a bunch of hiring, recruiting, one-way interviews, like all the things that lead up to building a good team. From a one-man hustle all the way to a powerhouse, how do you spot the right people and build a culture around that?
Yeah. So for roof nights, I just became a person of interest, is what my coach calls it. Social media, that's me getting on. Like, I'm way better today on TikTok and Facebook and stuff like that than I ever was before. I go back and look a couple years ago and I'm like, bro, I was so bad. Like, I was so bad at it. But I think being a person of interest that attracts people that are like me, roofing owners that wake up at 4 in the morning and pound protein shakes and go work out are not going to call me for help necessarily. And that's okay. And I understand that, because I'm probably disgusting to them in some ways. And I get that. Right. Okay. And I see your videos. You're out there hustling. Look, I get on a treadmill from time to time. But I think being a person of interest, you're putting your personality out there, and people are going to go, you know what? I like that person. And whether they're working for me or with me, right? Or they're a contractor that I'm trying to bring on board, they like me and they're okay with me and they understand who I am. And I think in the roofing industry, it's the same way. Like, it's like you've almost just got to bring people in. Tell my companies this all the time. It's like, let's just recruit whoever can fog up a pocket mirror, and then we'll figure out whether they're going to work out or not. Like, it's like, they're going through and being like, well, they don't have any experience doing this. Yeah, but I don't know what their life's been like before this. I don't know what struggles they're in. Most people think it's their skill set on their resume, when 90% of the time it's the timing in their life when it comes to roofing industry and a straight commission based job.
That's some real.
Maybe they just got out of a situation where they can't go get a job and they've got to go hustle to figure out a way. Most people that got in the roofing industry, I know I got in the roofing industry. I sold my bar. I had 30 grand in my pocket. I didn't have anything else to do. I just started a business that wasn't in the second months doing as well as I needed to, and I need to supplement my income. I answered an Indeed ad for an income insurance claim specialist. I get there, the dude's like, "Oh, it's roofing sales," and I was like, "Bro, I'm not going to get on a roof, right?" And he's like, "Well, but these guys make like $200,000 a year," and I was like, "Well, I could figure out a way."
Talk about
You
that.
know, and the dude was like, go get 15 leads a week, you'll make $150,000. And I was like, bet 25, let's go. I'll go get 25 a week. And then I started learning how to trick the idiot. I used to eat Culver's ice cream. And it was like, I'm not going to eat Culver's ice cream until I get 25 leads. And I got better and better and better at it. And the last, a couple weeks in a row, I got 25 leads on Monday and Tuesday and went and go Culver's ice cream Tuesday afternoon. Like if you want it bad enough, you'll go get it. And so that's the thing about hiring people in commission based, at least, is I just want to see if you got it or not. I don't even train them. When they hire in my sales funnel, they hire them, they get them in, they do the paperwork, they get in the field that day, and they go out to a neighborhood and they go knock that door. And if the person gets out of the car, let's go. If the person can't get out of the car, it's not for them. They're not hurting bad enough. They're not in a pain point in their life.
We do a similar thing here. So we sell a lot of yard signs at Dope Marketing. And for a yard sign sales rep to come on, we don't even make them prospect right away. It's all like rehashed leads, like old stuff. Dude, me and my sales manager can tell within 2 days if you can do this or not. Like it's not like it's this huge
Yeah.
intimate transaction that you need. Someone could go buy this somewhere else. Maybe it's cheaper, maybe it's faster, maybe it's better wherever you're at in that triangle. But it's like having the trust in yourself as an owner, as a manager. I think you're bringing up like, oh, this person doesn't have experience. They went to dental school. This wouldn't work out. It's like, where are they at? Like, if you can make it
Yeah.
simple enough for a guy like Jay to say, insurance claim specialist, yeah, I'll check it out. Sounds like it make some dough. But to be able to simplify it and have a culture coming in where it's just like, sales shouldn't be hard if you have a product that people want. And there's all the trainings, right? You brought up like Jeremy Miner. We were talking a little bit off camera about like Cody Sanchez. She is just like rock star, right? If you guys aren't following Cody Sanchez, she is just one of my favorite badasses right now, online, anywhere.
It's like what you said earlier. She says all this. She says all the stuff that nobody says, right? I think that's the man.
And it goes to authenticity, right? If you can like
Mm.
create a culture that you're bringing people in whether it's in roofing, any D2C, any sales in general, if someone can understand that owner that's propelling the business and get behind their vision, maybe someone's not working out every day, maybe someone's not doing the woo-woo health stuff or not watching the gurus online. It's like meeting people where they're at, but creating an opportunity, especially in sales where it's just like, how easy can we make it as the owner to bring on new people? So you can take that mentality of, dude, if you can fog up a mirror and show up on time, I'm pretty sure I can show you how to do this in a good enough way that you can have a better lifestyle than you have right now.
So I just put this on Facebook, but I put this on here because people call me all the time. It's like, what is it the PE firms are looking for? What is it? And I said, they're not looking for your roofing company. They're looking for your recruiting funnel. Can you recruit? If you can recruit, they will look at you, or they would. The PE firms that are worth their weight, that know what they're doing, right? If they're not looking at the recruiting funnel, then they don't know what they're doing. And I've seen a couple of PE firms do that. So, quick question though: when you say you bring on the folks and you give them the old leads and stuff like that, when you see them not make it, do you think it's attitude or skill or a combination?
Attitude. Because we can develop the
Yeah,
skill. I don't think the skill
right.
is the hard part. I think there's sales trainings and things that happen depending on your career, depending on your previous experience, how much weed you sold in high school or whatever it was. But like
Yeah.
when you look at, in all seriousness, when you look at like someone that has the right attitude in sales, and what did you call it? I wrote it down on another page. Was their self-development days, development days, where it's like it's not
Oh,
about
you're talking about bad days versus character building days.
character
We got
building.
that from Les Brown. That's a Les Brown thing. Yeah.
So the character building days are like when someone starts a new position, how can they deal with the rejection? How can they deal with
Yeah.
someone telling them no over just the basic sales 101 stuff? But if you can see right away someone in that first week's got a shitty attitude, oh, this person fucking sucks. Oh, this thing is doing this. Oh, the whatever. It's like, Jay, I live life in a pretty simple way where, dude, you just got to show me who you are. I promise I'm going to believe you. Like
That's it.
relationships are expedited by difficult conversations or people's backs being to the wall. And so in sales, when you look at how someone deals with rejection, how someone deals with negativity, how someone deals with just like one of those character building days, I'm not going to downplay the work that goes into developing salespeople, but it gets pretty fucking easy because if you're just
Yeah.
looking at the attitude of someone and how they carry the things that go, why do salespeople make the most money? Because they have to deal with the most bullshit. They have to eat the most shit during the day. And so it's like,
Yeah.
for me, in the sales teams that I've built or been a part of, attitude every day over skills because I can develop your skills. I'm not in the business. I was saying this to my ops manager, Matt, when he walked in, was like,
Yeah.
I'm not in the biz. I'm in the business of developing people. I'm not in the business of changing people.
Right. Then you got to be humble, coachable, and teachable. And that's got to be important. But I think it's so interesting to walk into the bigger companies who's now hired an HR person because they thought that's what they needed to do, right? And then they hired a sales manager, which I'm completely against sales managers in the roofing industry in general. They need to be defined. So I have what's called an RTC, which is recruiting and training manager, because that defines the entire role. And so for me, when I go into a business, how arrogant are you if you're an HR director and you think you can judge the heart of a person in a 15-minute interview?
Extremely.
Yeah, that's what I tell them. I'm just like, let's just get them out there and see if they can do it. Let's just throw them to the wolves and see if they have the heart of a lion. Because if they're hungry enough, they'll find a way to eat. That's all it is.
Amen. So, Jay, my final question, I like to end every episode with a quote. But before that, I got one more question for you. So, if someone listening is where you were at 10 years ago, what do you wish someone would have told you back then before you got into what you're doing now?
Man, getting a roofing, and really learning. How about this? Perfect the skill. Because what I really did, the reason I'm able to get to this point was I perfected door knocking. I got to the point where, in my opinion, I think there's other people that are as good as I am, but I don't think there's anybody better than I am. And that's the difference between cocky and confident, right? And so I don't mean that to be arrogant at all, but I think there's people that are just as good as I am. There's plenty of people that are out there hustling every day that are just as good as I am, but I don't think anybody's better. And so you got to be able to go out and perfect your craft. And for the owners out there, if you're, looking back at an owner from 10 years ago, back then we were cradle to grave in it. It's hard for anybody to perfect a craft when they're having to cradle to grave it all the way through. So maybe look at chopping your company up and giving people different responsibilities.
So, I got a quote from Henry Ford that I think really summarizes some of the things that Jay's about, some of the things we've talked about in this episode. You can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. You got to get out
Right.
and do that shit. And so that quote from Henry Ford is perfect for Jay. He's not out here talking about what he might do. He's showing up, putting people on, turning heads, building roof nuts into something loud, real, and legacy minded. And if you're trying to grow, just start there. Do something and let the world feel it. Jay,
That's it.
want to thank you today, my man, for showing up,
Thank you.
having an amazing, dope conversation. Love what you guys are doing at Roof Nuts. I know you have this one, whenever this gets published, they usually take a week or two to get out. The Louisville camp is sold out. When's the next one coming up?
So we're gonna do. I think we're gonna do hunts with the trash pandas. We're going to try to call the trash pandas and have it in their facility, and then have like a section at the baseball game. That's the dream, right? We're dreaming it, and we're either going to do it or we're going to not. We'll figure it out. But usually, somehow, I figure out a way to get it done. And then I think we're going to come back to Dalton, Georgia, where we started it this year. And try to do one more in the same place. And what we do is recognition during that, so people get on stage that they've done $1 million. And I want some of those people that were at that first roof camp this year that now have cross that threshold to be able to jump on stage. And I tell everybody, I said this earlier on Facebook, and I might have said it here already, but people look at me and call me lucky all the time, and I'm sure they do you too, right? They have no idea what we went through. So I just like to tell people, hey man, listen, you're 365 days away from being just as lucky as I am, brother. Just go get it.
What I always say, Jay, is yeah, I'm an overnight success. It just took 15 years.
Right. Absolutely.
Jay,
Absolutely.
if people are looking for you online, they want to come to one of the roof camps, they want to get more information about Roof Nuts, they just want to connect with Jay, where can we find you?
Yeah, so TikTok, Facebook, Roof Nuts. Look up the Roof Nuts on Facebook. Look up TikTok. Obviously, roofnuts.com. Don't judge my website. I made it myself. I'm just a dumb old redneck trying to put a website together. However, I did create the roofcamp.net website. And I'm super proud of that. That's my new one. You can see the transition from when I built a website, 4 years ago to me building a website today. And I appreciate Wix Studio for that because Wix Studio made me look good. But yeah, roofcamp.net to get tickets for Roof Camp, and then roofnuts.com for everything Roof Camp. And then I'm going to come out with my coaching will be jbradley.biz here shortly. That's not quite done yet, but that's what we're going to shoot for. And man, I appreciate you so much. I love seeing you out there hustle. And I wake up every morning, I wake up with that one eye open, seeing you on the treadmill. I'm like, yeah, Dave's getting it this morning, bro. Hell yeah. I get in there and make my coffee. I bet he's still in there killing it. So I appreciate you, man. You've been an inspiration to watch, and I really, really appreciate it. I don't know if you remember, but you got on the phone with me probably about 5 years ago, and you and I had a really good conversation. And that conversation really spurred me to get to the point to where, maybe I'll be able to do something with you today like we did today. And this is just so cool, and I really appreciate it, man. It really means a lot to me.
Jay, I love to see your growth, dude. I love to see how much you're helping businesses grow. Because, like you said, man, if you're not helping other people, like who are you really helping? And I just
That's
think
it.
you're a testament to that, man. Jay, thank you for joining us today. Listeners, watchers, if you know anyone or want to nominate yourself to have a dope conversation with yours truly, check the link in the comments for the application process. Fill it out. We would love to have you or someone you know as a guest on the show. Want to thank my man Jay Bradley from Roof Nuts again for being an amazing guest. You guys have an amazing day. We'll see you next week.